It's undeniable that everyone wants to do better.
Whether you're taking a new course or you could even be brushing up on an old skill set, the bottom line is that we all want to do better.
And improvement is good. But sometimes even the good things in life, they can have a dark side. In the pursuit of improvement, sometimes some of us, like I did, can become obsessed with the nagging desire or need to constantly tweak details in our work over and over and over again to the point where it becomes crippling. It is extremely crippling, especially if you're a creative. And this was a turning point in my creativity in recognizing that perfectionistic tendencies were harming my creativity. I knew that I couldn't be alone. You see, somewhere in this great, big, creative world, there had to be someone else who was struggling the same way that I was. And so, just like any other human being would, I turned to social media and some friends for some answers. And here's what I found.
I started making beats. I started out as a rap artist.
I started a podcast, which is about parenting.
I actually do both. I do photos and videos.
I started it in like March or April this year. And it's a platform for storytelling to kind of examine the cultural narratives that have become so ingrained in our society and how those affect our decision making. So the major challenges, I think, come back to that feeling of perfectionism and sometimes not wanting to publish things because I feel that it could be better. And it's always like on my end, I hear myself say something and I think, oh, I don't like how I sounded.
If I conceptualize the idea, right? And I realize that my talent is not at the level that I know the idea in my head is, I'm not going to shoot the video. I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm just going to wait until I think that I'm at the level that I can portray what I'm seeing in my head before I even do it. But then that's a bad thing, because sometimes you don't create anything just because you don't think that you're at the level that you should be at. And there's a catch-22 because the only way you get there is if you keep making more stuff.
Paralysis by analysis.
I realized that one of the reasons I was sometimes struggling to finish writing songs was because every verse had to have a certain number of punchlines and it had to have a certain number of double entendres and at a certain level of metaphor, and it couldn't just be no surface level cat in the hat nursery rhyme playing the raps. It had to be saying deep and poetic and philosophical. Every song had to be like that for me, and if it wasn't that, I felt like it made me feel like if I hadn't achieved what I wanted to achieve.
So that has been a challenge. And then also just like comparing myself to other people and seeing like, oh, they have like so many followers on Instagram and they probably have so many people listening to the podcast.
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one for sure. Oh, so clearly I wasn't alone. There's other people, other creatives who have been struggling with perfectionism, and just the thought of this made me feel a lot more at ease. That's the power of community right there. After talking to each of them, I couldn't help but think about all the different dreams and hopes and desires that people have that never came to life because of perfectionism. And this was quite heartbreaking to me. So how were these creatives managing and dealing with perfectionism? And I say managing and dealing because I truly believe it never ever fully goes away. It's just that we learn how to manage it better and we pivot and use it in a more positive light. It's one thing for, I guess, to see or to feel pressure from external sources, but it's another thing when it comes from within, when it's you that having pressure on yourself. That's a whole other kettle of fish, as people would say, like how have you managed to get by the perfectionism and just publish?
I think it's just a mindset. It's realizing that people don't care as much as you think they do about what you're doing, in a sense that they're not just sitting there like judging you harshly. And if they are you gonna live your whole life for that one negative person and not do anything?
How much beats you throw away and start over?
I cannot even tell you how many. As much as I got finished productions, I've got even more unfinished productions just sitting on my hard drive, simply because I had a picture in my mind of what it should sound like, what the perfect thing that I was trying to create should sound like. And when I realized it wasn't sounding like that, it's literally made me say, I was beer shake. And let me put down the keyboard.
Yeah. What I did at that point was to try to think of the effect or the emotion I trying to get from the viewer. And instead of trying to get the shot I tried to pull the emotion in another way. So I just tried to look at it from another option, because I can't specifically get why I wanted this route, but I know I'm going for this emotion, and I know that can draw this emotion as well.
So you shift your
But
perspective.
sometimes it wins. Correct.
Shift the perspective.
Creativity is supposed to be like an expression of freedom. You're supposed to just create like what coming naturally out of you. I just overthink it because you want it to be perfect, but there really is no perfect.
I always thought perfectionists were people who were really amazing athletes or musicians, and so I didn't really think I could be a perfectionist. But I realized perfectionism for me was just never wanting to try anything because I knew that I wasn't going to be excellent at it right away.
There's nothing more inspiring than hearing how someone else overcame a challenge that you also face. It feels like it's just you in that moment going through all those pain, all those negative emotions alone. And the truth is, there's always at least one other person who is feeling the same way. That gives you so much more hope for the future that you too can overcome whatever it is that you're going through, whether it's perfectionism or something completely different.
I would say embrace the imperfections. Do something that you know that you're going to suck at doing and finish that project. No matter what it sounds like. If you record something and it got a strange background noise that isn't supposed to be there, keep it. Take it out and sample it and use it back in a production. Embrace the imperfection to break it out of that cycle of thinking that everything has to be perfect.
Even the best creators you are seeing, they still think that they can be better. So don't ever think that you're gonna get to this level where you think, yeah, you're the best. There's always more to go. So enjoy it while you're creating. Look back at your old videos and laugh at how bad it was. If you're looking back at your old videos and you're saying nothing wrong, that means you have not grown, and that's a problem.
Something wrong.
I cannot keep editing. I can't keep going back to people and saying like, let's re-record this until I think it's perfect. Sometimes you just have to go for it, or else you'll never do it.